A lot of the industry is just very behind times. They use Excel for everything. A lot of it's just pretty inefficient. When you are looking at a company and you have a couple hundred, maybe documentation you're requesting and clarification questions, you end up having a lot of delays. You're sort of waiting for responses back and forth versus having a central platform. People are actually collaborating in real time and moving through things a lot faster, have visibility on what to prioritize, enabling teams to collaborate amongst each other. It's efficiency and enabling collaboration.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Kison Patel, founder and CEO of both DealRoom and M&A Science. Kison, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me, Andrew.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Please tell us a bit about yourself and about DealRoom and M&A Science.
M&A by background, I ran a boutique advisory practice for about 9 years, advising on both buying businesses, selling businesses. Started with privately held and ended up working with corporates. Worked in hospitality with Kimpton Hotels and some developers, and then ended up in big or financial institution group. Worked with some regional banks in the Chicagoland area, mostly buy side. And recession happened around 2007. I got the bug to go do a tech startup. Did a company that failed miserably, but was absolutely intrigued in the way software engineers were using this product called Jira to manage building our software platform. And that led to the idea of why isn't there a project management tool for managing mergers and acquisitions? That was inspiration to start DealRoom in 2012. And that business has struggled for a while to get our product market fit, but we figured that out. Today, it is very much of a buy-side management platform. So we have some large strategic acquirers, I think like Fortune 500 companies, and a number of roll-ups, private equity-backed roll-ups. They'll use the platform to manage the buy-side end-to-end, managing your whole pipeline of opportunities you're looking at, managing the due diligence process and the integration. And around 2017, a good buddy of mine, Andy, came to me one day and said, "Hey, man, you got to do a podcast." And my response to him was, "What the hell's a podcast?" He said, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be the next big thing. You just got to do it." And it's probably one of the most sound professional advice I've received that has been really nice.
Hey, especially post-pandemic, people they really want human fiber. They want connective tissue. They want to know who they're going to do business with. And podcasts are really easy way to present your thought leadership. So yeah, kudos for the foresight. Also kudos for the fortitude to launch a business after the crash and fail miserably, in your words. Tends to be the most educational process there is. You've obviously gleaned a few things from that experience that have helped you turn a corner there. What verticals are you serving? Who are your clients? What size companies are we talking about here?
We have like two. We have like this strategics. I mean, they're large companies, multi-billion market cap, multi-billion revenues. We have a couple of Fortune 5 companies. So we have those large strategics that make up probably about a third of our business. And then 2/3 are actually private equity backed businesses that aren't as big, but they do a high volume of acquisitions in effort to consolidate sectors. So if you think of roll-ups for dental clinics, private schools, accounting firms, wealth management, and it goes on, managed service providers, they'll use our platform to manage that high volume of acquisition.
Yeah, I guess it's becoming harder and harder to compete as a mom and pop with equity firms coming in and consolidating and having the advertising and internet power and finances to be able to promote and advertise. You talk about a dental clinic. If it's a local doctor, if they're part of a giant network, it's got to be easier to thrive and survive in this economy.
I think for some businesses, it can make a difference. A lot of the PE firms I've seen, be honest with you, they're not that sophisticated. They're basically leveraging a valuation arbitrage. So hence more revenue you put together, the higher the multiplier is. So a lot of it is more focused on financial engineering as opposed to operational efficiency. And
It's about the commitment to their investors on the other at the end of the day, more so than the businesses themselves, I'm sure. What what are the typical problems, the most common problems you're solving for your clients?
efficiency. A lot of the industry is just very behind times. They use Excel for everything, managing their pipeline, managing the due diligence, and a lot of it's just pretty inefficient. When you are looking at a company and you have a couple hundred, maybe documentation you're requesting and clarification questions, and when you're doing that in Excel and you're emailing that thing back and forth, you end up having a lot of delays. You're sort of waiting for responses back and forth versus having a central platform. People are actually collaborating in real time and moving through things a lot faster, have visibility on what to prioritize, enabling teams to collaborate amongst each other. That's a big thing. I would say it's efficiency and enabling collaboration, especially on the buy side. The buyers on an M&A deal tend to have a lot more people involved than any other party because you will have lawyers involved, you'll have at times consultants and bankers, and then the selling party. But the buyers are the ones that end up with the most people involved in the deal.
And have others followed you into this tech realm? And do you have competition in the space?
We do. It's sort of an emerging market. There's a data room segment that's probably $1 billion in size, and there is a number of firms. It's been around for a long time, but it's very oriented around selling a business. And we're part of this emerging space around buying. So we tout the framework buyer-led M&A, something that was part of co-creating. And it's really that we're in the smaller segment with only a handful of players that really build a product for managing M&A from the buy side. Then the thesis behind that, Andrew, is when you control the deal from the buy side, you can do it from the very beginning where you're very deliberate about finding opportunities, which gives you an edge because they're very much aligned around your strategy versus waiting for somebody to bring you something. And then second is when you lead from the buy side, you can plan your integration far better. And at the end of the day, integration is what makes or breaks your deal value. If you do poor integration, people get pissed off and quit. Not good for value.
No.
If you can really plan it well and keep people motivated, aligned, and hit goals, then it's a good win for everybody.
That makes total sense. Let's talk about the pandemic years for a second. I'm under the assumption that a lot of companies struggled to sustain themselves through the pandemic and then became ripe for acquisition. Is that the case? Did you guys thrive in that time, or did you guys have as many challenges as everybody else did?
I mean, the market went bonkers for sure. It was really a surprise to see how much M&A activity came from it. For us as a business, we saw immediately that people aren't going to be buying software going into a lockdown period. So we ended up really dialing back our sales effort and amped up our marketing effort 3x. We started doing live streams. We organized an online conference while everybody else was canceling their in-person. We timed it well and had about 50 speakers, 1,500 people attend this online event. And it was a big win. It got our brand out there. Coming out of the COVID, it really helped fuel the growth for both our software product and the podcast.
Well, I'm going to throw you a marketing lob question because obviously you guys are a content machine. You guys have a serious presence in the interwebs. What role has content played in the growth of M&A Science and DealRoom?
It's big, but I want to elaborate why it was so important because the standard playbook is usually raise money, you spend a bunch of money in paid ads, and then you figure out your SEO. We didn't have a lot of money, so we said, hey, we can play long on SEO. And what we did that unique was we actually leveraged the podcast to build a lot of our content because we're just taking transcripts from our podcast and creating a lot of blog content and so forth. So we kept it pretty efficient to be able to do that. And then what happened over time, which we had some idea of this, that the SEOs dropped down. The paid ads have even become much harder to really convert profitably. And what we're seeing an increase of is podcast listeners and social media interactions. And those are the areas that we've really put in the forefront. And that's actually panned out extremely well for the company, where today over 50% of our new customers find us through podcasts and social media as opposed to paid and search.
You are describing a page out of our playbook. We try to multi-purpose and ripple the pool in every direction. If you have a good podcast, that's food for tons of content, and it should be everywhere. Shorts and reels on your outbound and on LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, etc. So I appreciate your approach. It is parallel to ours. Is there a sweet spot in terms of size or type of company that you guys like to interact with?
I would say the roll-ups, and they could range. You could have a roll-up that's maybe early stages, they're 30, 50 million revenue, and you can have more mature roll-ups that are approaching $1 billion revenue. And I like them because they're privately held more often than not. So it's easier to work with them. I know it sounds great when you get like a big Fortune 5 logo, but like I don't know if you can mention them because I don't even remember what our current contract says. Because a lot of that they restrict you, and the sales cycle is about a year long for a large corporation, and then to actually onboard and ramp them up, it's about another 3 months. And you think it shouldn't be that long, but just they take a long time to get anything done.
Well, the larger the organization, the longer the food chain for decisions to actually be made. And then you've got boards and things like that. I think everybody's sales cycle has lengthened, but what you're describing makes a lot of sense to me. If you can deal with a privately held company, they see the value, they control their own destiny, and you can negotiate with people who are ready to actually do something as opposed to a year-long sales cycle with an enterprise level company.
Much faster. And we're talking 45 days and a couple of weeks to get them set up. That's what I actually prefer. I like getting things done fast, and I think there's a appreciation for it. With the large companies, the onboarding enablement could be pretty challenging when you got like 200 people that need to get set up, and this one group is really stubborn about it. And when you're dealing with these smaller outfits, you usually end up with maybe 20, 30 people, and it's a lot easier to get that enablement across that whole team. So I think my heart's still with the smaller outfits.
Well, it makes sense. The larger the organization, the more likely that you've got many locations and legacy systems, and they need digital transformation before they can take that leap to the next step. So there's a lot of process that has to happen to get them onboarded. Makes sense. What's next for DealRoom and M&A Science? What do we all need to know about what's coming around the corner?
It's been a good ride. I feel like there's a lot of still market opportunity. We have about 200 corporate development teams using our software, and I could see that getting closer to like 10x. Private equity is going to be another big segment to expand into. We have a few firms using it now, a lot of success, and that's a whole other market to go into. AI is a big one. We've gotten very proactive about having a separate R&D facility just for AI use cases, and now we got a roadmap with about 8 different things in there. So I think that's an area that we're probably in par with the competition, but we're really going to invest in a way to get us ahead. So those are the big things I'm excited about. Is just expanding new markets and investing in innovation.
Excellent. Well, look down the road a year from now. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
We're right at closing last year out 7.8 million. So this next year, we got a target to get to 11 million. So I think there's always that financial goal. And I think we've done a lot this past year with the management. We put a new COO, a new management team in there. And I think it's just a lot of that was getting them settled this first year. So I feel like there's a lot of just sitting back and seeing how they scale. We're around 48 employees in the company. So I think, we're really close to passing the 50 mark. And like those are probably the big things I'm looking forward to. It's just kind of being able to watch the company grow from the sidelines, and just having full confidence of this management team, that really high level of confidence in their professionalism to be able to execute. And then I think to for an outcome to hit our revenue targets.
Excellent. Please tell us, where can people find DealRoom and M&A Science? What are your URLs, and what social media outlets are you using these days as well?
Yeah, M&A Science is just mascience.com. Got a lot of content on there. And then our DealRoom product, anybody's interested in tech for M&A, it's dealroom.net. And then LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Kison Patel, thank you for spending some time with us today on Business Ninjas. Much appreciated. All the best to you and yours, and continued success at DealRoom and M&A Science.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
My pleasure. Be well.